John, it's all about the Beatles and obviously AI, about the new song coming out later on this year. We know that Paul McCartney, during a BBC interview, it was actually talking about his new book with his photographs from 1964, the American Invasion. Some fantastic shots. I don't know if you've seen any of them, John.
I have to get that, man.
Oh,
it's
incredible.
A book.
I think it's a book, yeah.
Has he actually wrote the book, or is it?
I think he's narrated it, hasn't he? I don't know. I don't know how
if
much.
If he's talking about that sort of trip over to the United States, and I'm buying that.
There's this photograph. I watched a bit of it.
He went about with a camera, didn't he? He
took a photo of a policeman in America. The gun on his hip, because obviously over here in the UK our police force don't have that. And that's the way it should stay in this country. But I think it was just
every country.
A terrifying realisation of they were in a massive country, a serious country as well at that, in terms of firearms, and I think that really shook them, seeing that. So he took this photograph. It was a fantastic photograph, John. And that's kind of what you're kind of expecting from this new book.
I love the fact that we've got stuff like that in the archives and it's just coming out.
I know Ringo did one. Ringo did one a few years ago because he was a keen photographer as well. And I think they all were at some point, especially Ringo and Paul. But it's actually coming from Sean Ono Lennon here, John, talking about obviously the AI for this new song. We all think it's going to be Now and Then, one of the sort of demo tapes from the mid-90s.
I'm about 99.999% sure, because I was watching your man Justin Hawkins, and the guy that was speaking about it confirmed that it's what the previous a fucking unreleased demo that John Lennon made that they'd been working on before. Come on, it's fucking Now and Then.
Yeah, I mean, the other one was obviously Grow Old With Me, but Ringo did release that a couple of years ago with Paul and Joe Walsh from the Eagles, and I think this is just a box-ticking exercise for both the remaining surviving Beatles, John. When they did the anthology, they had the 4 songs. They obviously brought out Freezer, Bird and Real Love, and George kind of went off Now and Then, as Paul McCartney mentioned in the Jeff Lynne interview documentary, that he kind of thought it was a bit fucking rubbish, but it's amazing because I never thought that I'd see Olivia and Danny agreeing to this, but I think obviously with the technology, perhaps maybe not just the writing that was putting George off, I think the quality of the recording was putting him off as well, and working obviously with Jeff Lynne quite a bit before the Beatles anthology, he would have picked up a lot of the sort of nuances from Jeff Lynne, being this perfectionist. I mean, he worked with Paul McCartney for such a long time. You talk about perfectionist, you don't get more perfectionist than Paul McCartney, but I think in terms of a production side of things, I think he would have learnt a lot from Jeff in that period of time when he was doing Cloud 9 in 1987-88 and Travelling Wilburys, and then getting into the anthology, and he would have picked up on the sort of faults of that recording from Lennon. I mean, it's not any fault of John Lennon. He was doing a demo, that's all it was. It was a demo. You put the tape, press record, and you record it, and everything's tracked into the one track, the voice, static, everything.
Doing it in the late 70s as well, when technology was a bit crummy.
And John, they did mention, and we have mentioned on the show as well, in terms of Peter Jackson was working on a new project with the Beatles, and this is it. This is what it is. We all assumed it was going to be another film, but it was this, and we never thought for a minute.
Me, you know that, because I was really hoping that he would do some interactive sort of touring experience where they were bringing the gang back together, and it was almost like the ABBA thing, but better, because the Beatles are better than ABBA.
We should have saw the signs though, John, when we watched Glastonbury last year with Paul McCartney and John Lennon comes up on the screen and they do I've Got a Feeling, and it was a great moment. It was great to hear Lennon's voice isolated like he was there. It wasn't just obviously clips from obviously the rooftop. They actually got the technology. Peter Jackson went in and picked those sounds out when he was doing that documentary, and not just with the songs, with conversations, etc. as well. And what a documentary it was, John. We reviewed it, didn't we?
We did, yes.
And we've thoroughly enjoyed it.
It was fantastic, Stephen. It was fucking amazing.
It was an early Christmas present,
it was. It certainly was. I remember vividly coming home from work and just losing 2.5 hours, 3 hours every night.
I need to watch it again.
Fucking incredible. And one of my favourite eras from the Beatles, but my eras always change.
Yeah, I'm the same, John.
Sometimes I'm into the late stuff, then it's the middle stuff, then it's the Pepper's White Album sort of stuff. Then I go back to the early stuff, and then I go through a singles phase where I listen to all the singles. And it's only the singles that get battered, so it's Peter back right, the likes of that.
Yeah,
get
yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
Then I get back to the later stuff.
I think we all do that, don't we?
You know why? Because all of it's fucking good.
I think that's a good thing about the Beatles stuff. It's timeless, it doesn't age, and it's got that re-listenability to about it as well. It's not even a word, but not even a word. But anyway, John, this is Sean Ono Lennon, obviously John's second son from his second marriage with Yoko Ono, who I love, by the way. I'm in a Beatles group and I fucking love Yoko Ono, okay? Deal with it.
I've got absolutely no gripes.
I've got no gripes, Sean. I'm kind of, I'm overplaying it. I don't love her, I don't know her, no, but I don't mind her. She doesn't offend me.
This bizarre sort of fucking anti-Asian sentiment for Yoko Ono, and she took John away, she entranced him, she's the devil. She fucking saved John Lennon. John Lennon admitted he was a crackpot with finances. He was a crackpot in general.
Yeah.
He was wild. She brought stability to the man. The man was always on the lookout for a mother figure. He got it with his Aunt May. He got it with Aunt May. That's not even on this, her name.
That's Peter Parker's.
Yeah.
Aunt Mimi.
Aunt Mimi. Fucking Spider-Man. It's because you mentioned Spider-Man earlier. He got it with Aunt Mimi. He got it with his mother briefly, and then she came back, and then also he lost his mother in tragic circumstances. And then Yoko came in. Cynthia never, ever brought stability to the man. The man was singing about needing help. The man, and everyone goes on about, she brought drugs into his life. He was taking fucking acid and heroin before he even met Yoko. Fucking shut up.
That heroin was the next stage, regardless of Yoko entering the scene or not.
It's coming. Heroin.
Yeah. What I will say, John, is that by the time, obviously, John's, I'm going on a soapbox here, but at the time of John's, at the end of his life, he became a part vegetarian. He was a feminist. He was on a macrobiotic diet. He gave up drink and drugs. His only drug was strong coffee at that point. Yeah. That's all when he was with Yoko, so you can look at it that way as well. And he wasn't a wife beater as people like to accuse him of. I hate that. Group.
I've nipped my tongue.
I've read Cynthia's book, and it's a very great book. It's a very fair book as well, and she tells the truth, and she puts that shit to bed.
I've nipped my tongue, but it's going to.
Did you get that as well? Yeah,
it's fucking coming. I'm telling you. If I see one more fuck pig saying it was a wife beater, I'm going to unfucking leash.
Yeah.
It's bollocks, man.
You're going to see some beatings.
Yeah, I'm going to fucking beat people up digitally. And that's one thing I'll criticise Yoko for. She turned him into this sort of saint-like figure. He wasn't a saint, he was a human being with faults like everyone else.
I think as well the way he went out didn't help matters as well. I think, it was an absolute terrible tragedy what happened to that man, and the way he died, but I've got respect for her in the sense that she was there that night and she saw it, and she managed to pick herself up and carry on with her life, and as we're just about to talk about, they brought this beautiful boy, as he's called, in the song.
What a guy he is as well, by the
John,
way.
I love Sean. I love Julian as well. Julian's a great guy as well. I love listening to him. I was watching, he was doing this thing with, he's one of Adam Sandler's buddies. He does these hikes, and he does an interview while he's doing hikes. It's in LA, and Julian Lennon was his guest. Fantastic. I'll try and give you the link, John. But we're talking about Sean Ono Lennon here, clarifies the use of AI. Following Paul McCartney's revelation about the Beatles' upcoming final song being enhanced by artificial intelligence, Sean Ono Lennon has explained how they used the technology. During an appearance on the Today Show on BBC Radio 4, McCartney was asked about the AI and explained how they've been able to use this technology to finish a composition by the Beatles. We were able to use that kind of thing when Peter Jackson did the film Get Back. It was us making the Let It Be album. He was able to extricate, that's the word, extricate John's voice from
I'm in no position.
A ropey little bit of cassette and a piano. So there you go, there's piano, and it is now and then it is on a piano. He couldn't separate them with AI. They tell the machine that's a voice, this is a guitar, lose the guitar, and they did that. So it has great uses. So when he came to make what will be the last Beatles record, and was a demo that John had been worked on and we'd finished it up, it will be released this year, McCartney revealed, we were able to get John's voice and make it pure through AI, and then we could mix the record as you would normally do, McCartney added. However, Sean has now played down the use of AI on the track and told a Twitter user, all we did was clean the noise from the vocal track. People are completely misunderstanding what occurred. There was always been ways of denoising tracks, but AI just does it better because it learns what the vocal is and able to very precisely remove everything that's not the vocal. That's a perfect way to describe it.
And that's the way Justin Hawkins described it.
Additionally, Sean commented further on the secretive project and said, I shouldn't speak too much on this yet, but I'll just say the track turned out beautifully and I think everyone will be very happy. Although McCartney didn't reveal the name of the track in question, it's mooted to be Now and Then, which was demoed by Lennon in 1978 and has previously been under consideration to be released by the Beatles. However, this is yet to be confirmed. Yeah, I mean, as John, I think I like it as well, and I like I can't remember who did that version of it. With they used different mixes from different recordings, and were able to. Good. Yeah. I thought it's probably cliched Beatles sort of throwing harmonies and stuff like that, and throwing the kitchen sink and all that, but it was the best I suppose they could do at the time. I liked it though, and I liked the actual sentiment behind it. The tape saying for Paul as well, and by all accounts, John Lennon's last conversation with Paul McCartney was his very last words to him was, "Think of me every now and then, my friend," or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. Yeah. That was the last words he spoke to him. So it's got sentiment, it's got emotion in there as well, and it's got a lot of meaning for Paul McCartney as well.
And I presume, Stephen, recording sessions happened in the early 90s during the filming of Anthology. Anthology.
That'll be George's including.
Yeah. And they did obviously Real Love.
Yeah.
Don't know why it took me so long to say that, but it did. It's late. And obviously that means you've got actual instrumental work from George in there. You've got the drumming from Ringo.
Yep.
I presume they didn't have to get back together to actually physically make it happen. Although they probably did. Knowing Mackie, they probably Ringo, did get back in a studio and do additional work. But just having that little bit of human touch in there, I think, is what differentiates this from just out and out AI modelling.
Yeah.
As this Tony Rosa Malier is saying on Twitter, turning him into an AI model for an unreleased song. That's not what he's doing.
They've taken existing,
they've took existing recordings, John's vocals, which have been isolated from that crummy little sort of cassette recording.
I do like the fact that Sean does say all we did. All we did was clean the noise from the vocal track, meaning that there's been a lot of input. You know, it's not just Paul and Ringo having their way with it. I think Olivia, Danny's been in there as well. Danny's a fine musician and a producer as well. Sean, I'm not so sure about Yoko these days, John. I don't think she's keeping too well. But I mean, I think she's almost 90, so. Yeah, Sean's a cool guy. I like him. I wouldn't mind hanging out with him. You know, even if he wasn't Lennon's son, he's a cool guy.
I love that scene in New York, the sort of artistic scene. It just seems like a fucking great place to be. It really does. I watch Mark Rebbe on YouTube a lot.
Good friend of Mark Ronson, isn't he?
Yeah, I just love that fucking scene, man. I just love it. I'd love to be over there. It's tight a city for me.
Was there anything else in that article, John? Is that done with it? Yeah,
I think that's it, Steve. Needless to say, I'm not averse to AI in
John,
music.
he likes some of the stuff that's
really
came out.
I says that in a comment on the Justin Hawkins video. He obviously addressed this, and he says the same as what Sean's doing, that there's been isolation stuff for years.
Yeah,
taking vocals, training it, isolating it, making it clearer, then you can remix it into a proper recording. That's been happening for fucking years. Jeff Lynne did it 30 odd years ago. This is not new, it's just been refined with AI.
With analog tools.
With analog, exactly. I don't know how the fuck the guy did it to this day. Incredible. When we get hissing and noise on tracks in 2023, I am completely fucking lost. It sounds like we're in a can. And if we ever get the final reaction for Pictures out, season 1, you'll fucking hear it's sounding like a can. How Jeff managed to separate John's vocals back in the early 90s is fucking beyond me. Man's a wizard. John, but AI's doing it now, and I'm not averse to it, Stephen. Some of the stuff we're seeing.
You think the surviving Beatles, along with the estates of Lennon and Harrison and Jeff Lynne, could go back and do Free as a Bird this way, and
I hope they do,
Real Love?
I hope they do. I hope
because they've tinkered with them before. The videos that you see on YouTube of Real Love and Free as a Bird aren't the ones that were released back in the 90s. They were cleaned up by Giles Martin, so they have been.
Well, I mean, Giles has been using this Peter Jackson technology quite a lot. I mean, he's been the recent remasters of the White Album and stuff. Not the White Album. Well, I think he did do the White Album, Sgt. Pepper's, but Revolver. Revolver.
Yeah, they're working back the way. Rubber Soul's next one.
Soul.
Yeah.
But he'd done a set of brilliant videos where he showed you how they utilised the Peter Jackson technology to isolate all the different tracks, all the different instruments.
He's another cool guy, John.
And then you can rearrange it as if it's proper stereo, surround sound. You're sitting the way they'd have been positioned in the studio when they were recording it, which is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
So that's the technology. Giles is already deep into this.
Yeah, I like Giles.
So he's a fucking cool guy, man. I mean, I used to slag him. You think you're George and stuff like that, but he's fucking. My dog's farting. Wow. Hell yeah! Did you hear that?
What was that?
He's a cool guy, Stephen. But look, man, I'd love to see them get back and reworking Freeze a Blood and Real Love, because even though they're epic for what they did, what Jeff did, Paul's having to go in and double track the vocals to clean it up a bit and make it sound a bit fatter. If you can go in,
he's got to impersonate Lennon as well.
Lennon. If you can go back and use an AI model to isolate it and make it sound clearer, you don't need that. You can add that. I get
the reservations, John, because it was the same in the 90s when they did Freeze a Bird and Real Love, and it's still to this day a lot of people are still opposed to it.
No.
I fucking love those tracks. There's not a week goes by I don't hear one or the other. No, they're always in my playlist.
It's a fucking Beatles song, man. They're all there. They're all present.
John, you think of those guitar solos and the slide guitar from George Harrison, absolutely phenomenal. The harmonies.
Steve, this is what
Paul
I want
to
see in this now and then. If it is now and then, though, I want to hear actual instrumentals from George.
Yeah.
Because there's just something about his fucking guitar work, so it has to be there.
I think it might be rhythm, though. I've got a funny feeling it might be rhythm for this
one.
As
long as it's there, though, and you've got the human touch, that's the point I'd make. We're going down a slippery slope with AI, where we are reworking. I love it personally because we're taking Macca's newer stuff and we're making his voice sound like it did 30-40 years ago. And as I says in that comment, I've got a new appreciation for Macca's new stuff. You see how good a melodist he still is, how amazing an artist he still is.
John, I love
his
that
voice
song. I
is
don't
weak
know.
now
See from Egypt Station.
Yeah.
That I don't know.
It's fucking great,
song.
But you're modernising you're not modernising, you're taking the voice back and making it more youthful. And you realise if you took that stuff and you went back in a time machine and gave McCartney it in the 70s or the 80s, it'd be fucking unbelievable. It'd be incredible, every bit as good as the stuff he was doing back then. So he's still got it. So if we can use AI...
How do you feel about it?
I'm all for it.
How do you feel about it being the last song then, John? We're not going to get another one after it.
It's fine, Stephen.
Yeah.
It's fine, we've got the whole back catalogue. I mean,
just glad to be around for it, more than anything, John.
It's been a great time to be a Beatles fan.
Yeah.
The last 10 years or so, we've had the re-releases, sort of 2009 ones, more than 10 years.
I always think when they do a project like the Anthology, I think that's it then, isn't it?
We says that we get back, now we're getting another Beatles song.
John, I did it with Let It Be Naked. I thought that'll be the last one.
And then the Love album came out.
Love album,
which was Giles, I think, even back then.
Yeah.
So it's been a great fucking last 20 years, which is when I started getting into the Beatles proper. It's been a great time, man. We've
John,
got so much
I do remember
stuff.
when Free as a Bird was released, the buzz, just can't believe this is coming out, can't believe we're getting a new Beatles song. And I would imagine it's going to be pretty much the same for this one. Although now and then it's probably a bit more known now than Free as a Bird was when that came out. Only sort of the bootleg collectors would have known about those songs at that point, but now and then, and obviously with the technology and YouTube, etc., most people would have heard versions of Now and Then. The actual raw track of it is quite haunting. It's a great song, John, as you said.
And again, if we can capture the soul of Lennon's performance and isolate it, and you put all the Beatles instrumental stuff harmonies, on, and you put the harmonies in, that's a fucking Beatles song. I don't get it. And as you say, he wrote for Paul.
Yeah.
So that's as good as, I don't know, the word I was looking for.
Yeah. Approval.
Yeah. As you're going to get.
Yeah.
Steve, I was going to say something there. My mind's went. Yeah, that's my one big regret. That's the last thing I'd say is not getting into the. I was aware of the Beatles as a young kid because they've been ever present since I was in primary school, 4 or 5 years old. But the fact I wasn't really into them until I was like 18, 19, 17, you properly get me into them about 2007, 18.
You appreciate it more though, John, because you're not just listening to the songs, you're actually listening to the songs.
I mean, you gave me,
it
was technically illegal. You gave me the whole fucking
the multimedia thing,
and I just went down a fucking rabbit hole and discovered it bit by bit by bit by bit.
Probably wasn't the best quality, but I mean, it gives you an idea, doesn't it?
It did. Yeah. But I remember you tell me when George died, I was like 14, 13. I was probably younger. It was 2000, wasn't it?
2001, yeah.
Once I'd have been 12 or 11, depending on when it happened.
You said, I hear this George Harrison guy's died. See the Beatles or something?
Didn't even know.
I do remember that, yeah.
Didn't even fucking know.
Yeah.
So that's my big regret. I didn't get properly into them.
You were aware of him. That's not bad. It's not bad.
If that was to have been now though, and George was still here in the past, I would be fucking devastated.
Listen, we've still got that to go, with half the Beatles, so
yeah.
But anyway,
got to see
I can't wait for this single to come out, John. Looking forward to it. I think it'll be more the end of the year, probably November time, I would say, because that's when Freeze a Bird came out. So I would imagine that maybe they're going for the Christmas market, perhaps, I don't know.
Are you all for AI music though, Stephen?
If it's used in an assisting way, anything AI, John. Obviously the industry I work in, it's a very touchy subject, but I've dabbled in AI and I know exactly the things it is good for. It's good for research, it's good for fact finding and that kind of thing, and obviously in this medium it saves a lot of the sort of work in terms of stripping back vocals. This thing will do it like that.
It can't replace an actual human's output though.
No, John,
if it can enhance what's already there, then I'm for it.
That was the other thing I wanted to just briefly mention before we move on to our final sort of topic. But in terms of AI, I like some of the stuff that's on YouTube. Some of the stuff is really well done and does sort of give us that young McCartney voice, etc. It's good for things like that. But in terms of listening to the Beatles' actual catalogue, the emotions there, the attachments there, you don't get that with the AI because it's not true. But it doesn't mean you can't enjoy it to some kind of level,
Yeah, I agree.